Hey, just take a knee. Those are the words that Mario Cristobal should have uttered as the unquestioned leader, as the head coach of the Miami football team, a team that was undefeated and would have been on its way in the waning seconds of an ugly, ugly win against an undermanned, pretty bad Georgia Tech football team. But it still would have been a win that would have sent the Hurricanes to 5-0. That's what should have been said by Mario Cristobal. That's what he stated in the post-game news conference that he should have said, that he should have stepped in and said. So he somewhat took responsibility, but basically the thought process in which Mario Cristobal communicated that those closing seconds on offense transpired was that he just allowed offensive coordinator Shannon Dawson and the Miami offense just to run its course, and he just passively stood by and allowed them to make the incorrect decision to close out a game. Now, in most cases, that decision of passivity would not have come back to burn the head coach, would not have come back to burn Mario Cristobal. Because even if you fumble the football there, well, first of all, the chances of fumbling the football there are next to zero. And then even if you fumble the football, you may recover the football. Your team may get it back. And then thirdly, even if you fumble the ball, lose the ball, and there's like 25 seconds left on the clock for the other team to have to go all the way down the field and try to score, the chances of them being able to do that is almost zero. So even in a bad decision, you most likely get off the hook. However, as the leader, the CEO, the executive, the head coach of the football team, it is your responsibility. It is all on you to eliminate all mistakes, to eliminate the chances of making that mistake, and to step in, to be assertive, to be intentional, to step in and manage the game. Mario Cristobal does not call the offense. He does not call the defense. He's a head coach that is supposed to be managing the clock, managing the game. And all that game management came down to in the final waning seconds was kneel down. Do the math. You cannot lose if your quarterback's just capable of taking a center exchange, snap the football, take the exchange, kneel down, the game's over. Welcome to the Voice of College Football. We break down the game we all love each and every day with you. Best discussion, debate, and analysis right here. So it's really cut and dry. Mario Cristobal failed to insert himself into the game plan as the game manager. And Mario Cristobal has proven throughout his tenure, most notably at Oregon, not to be a good in-game manager anyway. This is just a inexcusable mistake by the head coach. Everyone makes mistakes. I'm the first one to admit to my mistakes and everybody else's mistakes in regards to we all make mistakes. We're all human and they should be forgiven. Forgiveness is another thing. When I say inexcusable, I don't mean unforgivable because everything should be forgivable, but inexcusable in regards to these head coaches for these football teams make way too much money to be making those kind of mistakes. That is just a inexcusable mistake. That's all there is to it. Tim Hasselbeck for the ACC Network during the broadcast simply pointed out and was pretty animated in saying, I don't know what's going on here. Kneel down. They should be kneeling down. Not just on the final play. They could have done it a couple times. Now, the one thing I will call into question that I have yet to clear up or see out there that's been determined for sure is that there was some possible confusion over how many timeouts Georgia Tech had. They supposedly had 0 timeouts. However, if you look at the ESPN game recap, it lists some questions in there about Georgia Tech possibly having 1 timeout when they had the football after the fumble recovery, that they had 1 timeout, and that's what it read on the scoreboard. Now, Mario Cristobal was asked after the game whether there was confusion on the Miami sideline as to whether Georgia Tech still had one timeout. And he said, no confusion. We knew that they had no timeouts. So according to him, there was no confusion. They knew exactly what was going on and that there were no timeouts. Miami fans hope that this does not become the defining moment of Mario Cristobal's tenure, that this does not become the most memorable moment of his tenure. That a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, when he continues to lose football games, and I'm not predicting that, I'm just saying, of course, this is your hope, that this is just a horrible blip on the ascendance of Miami football. Came into the game at 4-0. I was most impressed with Miami coming into this game that they were taking care of inferior opponents by large scores. They beat Miami of Ohio by 5 touchdowns. They beat Temple by 34 points. They were disposing of teams. They had an impressive performance against a quality Texas A&M team, not a great team, but a really good Texas A&M team that's got a ton of talent. They largely dominated that game. It was a good start to the season to Miami football, and then this. They statistically dominated this game, but continued to let Georgia Tech off the hook. A team that lost to Bowling Green by 17 points, by the way, last week. At one point, Miami had 300 yards of total offense, and Georgia Tech was in the 60s. But Miami allowed them to hang in the game. Now, Georgia Tech had a new defensive coordinator because they let the other one go, so there might have been some wrinkles there, according to Tyler Van Dyke, that they did not foresee. Now, Tyler Van Dyke, to his credit, he said, hey, I lost this game. I threw 3 picks. I made 3 horrible decisions, which he did, and played one of the worst games that he has in a Miami uniform. And when I say that this is hopefully not the defining moment for Mario Cristobal at Miami, you know, this is one of those kind of mistakes, one of those kind of just oddities, rarities in football that it becomes so epic that it goes beyond college football, meaning that I didn't watch a ton of NFL football this afternoon, and I heard it referenced a couple times. Did you see the Miami game yesterday? What about what happened at the Miami game? That should never happen. This mentioned during NFL broadcast today. Also, I've got a friend who does not follow college football that mentioned to me today, was there some coach, Miami, I think, he made some like really stupid decision. I keep seeing this on the news. It was like on one of the major news networks, not sports, news networks, about what a stupid decision he made. And I said, oh yeah. So, wow, this makes Miami look horrible, makes Mario Cristobal look really bad. And then the defense after that to allow a receiver to get behind 2 deep guys, and I have not seen either an explanation or, of course, access to the 22 film to see where the players were positioned on the field during that final touchdown pass by Haynes King. Wow. And Miami fans, we discuss it all the time. We've got a Hurricanes Live show on the Miami channel each and every Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time, so please join us for that. We have a great time. Talk Miami football, deep dive, Cam Underwood, State of the U. And obviously analyze this coaching hire a number of times, because if you go back to Oregon, Mario Cristobal was making, maybe not to this extent, but he has a long history of questionable, if not just proven completely wrong, bad decisions in game. He is a phenomenal recruiter. And it is certainly possible, and it's actually likely and probable, that most successful people in life don't do everything well, that they have some sore spots. They have some places where they need to improve. And they either show the capability of improving those areas, or in this case, he could take care of this by having an in-game coach, somebody to help him in these circumstances, even though he should be able to figure it out, even though, again, his responsibility, and especially since he's not calling plays on offense or defense. But if he still struggles with this, and this is just not something he can ever do well, hire someone. I suggested that for years with Les Miles. Hire someone that basically tells you what to do. Says, Coach, take a knee. And if the coach says, why? Well, boom, 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 the play clock, look at the game clock. Here's the situation, the down the distance. They don't have any timeouts. Boom, that's why. And for Mario Cristobal, recruiting, he's got nailed. Building a program, a culture, I think there were good signs of that at Oregon. He wasn't there long enough to see completely, but the guy took a marginal program and he upgraded it significantly, mostly through recruiting. That's his calling card. But beyond that, yeah, they did some really good things at Oregon because you just can't recruit yourself out of a marginal situation. So he built a strong program at Oregon that Dan Lanning is benefiting from right now. Won a Rose Bowl, went to a Fiesta Bowl, won a couple Pac-12 championships. Now he comes to Miami, and I got to say, last season, this was the least prepared team in all of college football. They were the worst at game preparation. Considering their talent level, considering that they had a quarterback coming off a historic 8 or 9 game stretch the season before, and considering the coaching staff that they had last year, if you go through Kevin Steele and Charlie Strong and all the experience on that coaching staff from 2022, this team was not prepared. Not prepared from week to week. And again, it wasn't just the record. They went 5-7, but they're 5-7 compared to, let's say, Texas A&M's 5-7, who was playing top teams in the SEC and playing them close, continuing to lose. But Miami just didn't play a good ball game last year. None. Their best win, their best performance last year was beating Georgia Tech, who was awful last year. But at least Miami beat them last year. That was their only decent effort last year. They lost to Middle Tennessee State, continuing to give up like 90-yard play. That was just a train wreck. Middle Tennessee beat Miami by 2 or 3 scores. They lost to Duke. You know, that was the 8 turnover game. You can just go. They almost blew games against Virginia, Virginia Tech. Just horrible football teams. They just didn't play anywhere close to their talent level. And I believe a head coach should be able to come in first year. Now, Mario Cristobal had kind of the excuse that we're tearing this thing down, building from the ground up. And through 4 games, it looked like, okay, year 2's much different. But game number 5 in year 2 was not different. And Miami outplays Georgia Tech, completely dominate them. Should have won the game going away, 3 or 4 score win. But then it came down to Mario Cristobal, and this team should be marching on to a North Carolina game at 5-0 with an ugly win in his back pocket. But due to just the head coach not taking care of business and making a simple decision, him being too passive, him either not knowing, maybe he didn't want to admit to that, not knowing that they should have taken a knee, or if he truly did know it, being too passive and not being the leader that he should be in that situation. Is this a fireable offense? I keep seeing that term on social media. Is this a fireable offense? I have no issue with anybody out there that says this is a fireable offense. It's inexcusable. However, there's a lot on the line here. Money in particular, and if he is in fact building something, I don't want to say something special, building a top-flight team in the ACC, building a top-flight program through recruiting. They just got a commitment from a top 300 player, top wide receiver today. So if he's in the midst of doing that, I don't believe it's good business nor makes sense to fire somebody over one mistake, even though it's a ridiculous mistake, a horrific mistake, that this is the type mistake for me that's fireable. If he's doing good work elsewhere, you can get past this. Miami's got North Carolina coming up this week. Huge game in the ACC. Your thoughts down below about Mario Cristobal, Miami football, and where they could go from here, and truly how horrific is this? I don't know that it can be overstated, but fireable offense, you make the call. Right here at the Voice of College Football.